Hi, this is Dr. David Wade, your family chiropractor. I wanted to talk to you for a brief few minutes here about how do you stay healthy to 100. First question is do you really need to know how to stay healthy for the first 100 years of your life? Well, it's a fact we're living longer than ever before in history. The average life expectancy in 1900s was around 49. The average life expectancy today is a little bit under 78. By the year 2050, we expect 800,000 Americans will be over 100, and many of them will live to 150 years old. That's a longevity expansion, wouldn't you say? Did more people used to die when they were kids? The answer is yeah, that was the point. Many people lived to a ripe old age back in those days, which was about 50. And so the people today who are living longer than they've on up into their 80s and 90s, they far outpace their longevity expectancy. Now, the chance of you living on up until you're 80 or beyond is really huge. One of the things is that one of the most common problems that we see associated with aging is a functional disability. Anybody that's over 50 has generally experienced some decline in mobility. Spinal disorders are probably the leading cause of functional mobility loss, and it's kind of interesting if you stop and think. If you're going to live past 50, you better be aware that there's a robbery fixing to take place. The robbery is your mobility is going to be robbed from you or stolen from you. Now, if I could tell you that someone's going to come to your house and rob your house next week, Tuesday at 6 p.m., I think you might be interested in doing something about it. You probably wouldn't just wait for the robbery to occur, that you would actually prepare ahead of time. Well, that's what we want you to be able to do here with this information. Just think about this. If you lose your mobility at 45 or 50 or 60 and you live another 40 years, how's that going to work out for you? Not such a good thing. The fact is, if your spine was on your face, you would have a much more likelihood of taking better care of yourself. The truth is that the spine's not on your face, unfortunately, and it's behind you. And so most people have a tendency to wait until their back has really gone out on them before they ever decide to do anything to take care of it. Now, if you're going to take the gamble that you're going to live past the age of 50, and you need to take preventative steps now to avoid the functional loss that will occur if you don't take the time to take care of it. That's why preventative care is so important. Plus, it's not just limited to your back pain. You realize that out of 10,000 adults, 1 in every 3 adults suffered from neck pain as well. So you can't get a new neck either. So if you plan on using your neck after the age of 50, you need to make plans on trying to prepare ahead of time to make sure that your not only your back but your neck is taken care of as well. 85 and 100 adults will suffer with low back pain at some point in their life. That's 85% of the public out there. The reason is people generally aren't taking care of their back. They don't understand the concepts of preventative care. So let's take a look at what happens to you and your family if you just sort of let nature take its course. I'm going to use this video as an example. This right here is a picture. It's an image of a scale, and you notice over here on the far left side, it talks about how there's a rapid ascent into development phase up to a peak capacity level where you're up near 100%. Usually that occurs by your early 20s. And then what you notice after that is there's a real rapid decline on the downside. And that rapid decline is what we call the degeneration phase. Now, the degeneration phase is unfortunately followed by a long sliding morbidity phase. The average life expectancy today, as I mentioned earlier, was close to 78. And by the time people are Medicare age, 65, they're on average taking about 12 different prescriptions, which is really tragic. But it is a situation where people's morbidity phase of life is lasting sometimes 15 or 20 years down the road. And that's a very big concern that we have here at Wade Chiropractic. The question is, can the scale be changed? Is it too late for me? Is there something that can be done about this? And I think the answer is yes. I think it can be. I think that we can radically extend the vitality phase by understanding the things that's necessary for our bodies to be able to operate and function properly. I think that if we could understand the ideas of what's required to keep your body moving and flexible, then you're going to be able to sustain the mobility long past that age. And then what's going to happen then is you can essentially eliminate the degeneration phase of life and radically compress the morbidity phase of life. To me, I'd like to be able to be active right up to the very end, wake up and be in a different address, just be totally someplace else. And that's kind of what my dream is. I want to be active right up to the day I go. But in your care, I think there's important for you to understand that in a chiropractic care model, the first phase of care is what we call relief care. Most all chiropractors start out working with the patient in the beginning, primarily to focus on loosening up the spine. If you loosen up and you get things moving better, then typically what you're going to find is there's going to be a reduction of symptoms and inflammation. You'll feel better. But if you don't follow that up with realigning and balancing and building the muscles back up in the second phase of care and try to stabilize your spine, you're unfortunately going to continuously have to deal with the same old problem over and over. And this is where, over the years, chiropractors in the past have had a bad reputation, which is once you go to a chiropractor, you got to keep going for the rest of your life, and you have to keep going back to keep the pain under control. Well, if you only approach it from a relief standpoint and just loosen it up enough to get better, to feel better, to get your symptoms under control, and then you discontinue care, you'll experience a reoccurrence of symptoms, because the same stresses that brought the problem on in the first place are not going to magically go away during the course of your life. So it's important for you to be able to follow through to get it stabilized. Now, in addition to that, we have something that we call lifestyle care. Lifestyle care is the idea is to try to maintain your spine in a good functional motion. It's important that you are able to keep your body moving and flexible on off into the future. So those are the things that are important, I think. So in a recovery phase, there's basically three active care phases. The beginning is the loosening up, the lining up and building up phase, and then the last type of care is the lifestyle or maintenance care. And so those are the types of care. I want you to consider this as you think about undergoing your care plan, undergoing the type of care that you may need, and then what are you going to do about following up and staying healthy in the future. This is Dr. David Wade wishing you good health for a lifetime.